of June 9th, 2025. It seemed like just another summer day in northern China. Gentle sunlight spread across the fields. People worked in the paddies. Children played in schoolyards. No one knew that a nightmare was approaching from the horizon. Around 4 p.m., the skies over Ningxin County and Deju City, Shandong province began to change. Dark clouds rolled in thick and heavy like a deadly shroud. Within minutes, violent winds struck. Trees swayed. Billboards tore from their posts. Motorbikes toppled. Tin roofs blew away like dry leaves. Screams echoed. People ran in panic looking for shelter, but nowhere was truly safe. A coastal weather station in Dongying recorded winds reaching level 15, equal to a major typhoon. The wind howled without pause. Trees fell. Huge signs flew into the air, then dropped like sharp arrows. Those on the road could only stop their vehicles, lie flat, and hope to survive. Hundreds of kilometers away, in Tianan-Hebei province, another storm hit just as fiercely. The sky turned pitch black like night. Thunder rumbled non-stop. Lightning lit up the horizon. Then the hail began. Not tiny pebbles, but ice chunks, the size of eggs, slammed into rooftops, shattered car windows, and pounded down on those outdoors. Dozens of cars were damaged within minutes. Roof tiles broke. Storefront glass exploded. The hail carried the fury of the sky. In farm regions like Qinhuangdao and Tangshan, the destruction was worse. Fruit orchards were crushed in 10 minutes of hail. Newly planted rice was flattened. The earth turned white under a cold summer layer of ice. Farmers stood in their fields crying silently. Half a year of waiting gone in seconds, and as if hail and wind weren't enough, the floodwaters came. Drainage systems failed. Fallen branches and floating trash clogged sewers. Dirty water rose through the streets. Within 20 minutes, many areas were submerged. People couldn't move. Schools, hospitals, markets, all cut off. As night fell, panic didn't stop. In Jizhu district of Tianjin, thunder tore the sky. Rain poured. Wind howled through windows. Entire neighborhoods lost power. People lit candles and flashlights trying to get through the night, while outside, nature still roared. In mountain regions, streams turned violent. Water rushed down hills like waterfalls, carrying soil rocks and trash threatening villages below. Some roads collapsed, cutting off traffic. Trucks were stuck. Motorbikes underwater. Goods floated everywhere. Some areas reported temporary blackouts as towers collapsed. In the darkness, fire truck sirens and emergency broadcasts mixed with the cries of those who lost homes, property, and even loved ones. This disaster came too fast. No one was ready. Warnings were issued, but many didn't hear or couldn't imagine how bad it would be. To most, a summer storm couldn't possibly look like the end of the world, but reality proved otherwise. This wasn't just bad weather, it was nature's warning. The world we live in is more fragile than ever. Li Xiaohua never imagined her roof could disappear in just a few seconds. That afternoon was like any other in Dezhou City, Shandong province. The sky was gray. The wind began to whistle outside the window. She was preparing dinner for her 2 sons, a simple mustard green soup with tomato fried eggs. In her mind, she was only thinking about her husband coming home and the family having dinner together like usual. But then the storm came, like a nightmare without warning. The wind was so strong the windows shook. Wind chimes on the balcony clanged like breaking metal. She rushed upstairs where the children were playing. Without thinking, Li Xiaohua grabbed their hands and pulled them down the stairs. Just as they reached the landing, a terrifying screech filled the air. The entire roof was ripped away. Wind poured in, carrying rain, dust, and flying debris. The sky appeared right above them, cold and angry. Li held her children tightly, using her body to shield them. Her mind was blank except for the sound of her heartbeat and a silent prayer. Please, don't let anything happen to the kids. Each minute dragged on endlessly. Only when the wind began to calm did she dare lift her head. The second floor no longer had a roof. The bed was soaked with rain. The walls were cracked and wet. Her son's study corner, where he usually did his homework, was reduced to soggy papers and books with smudged ink. She didn't cry. She held her 2 children in silence and led them downstairs to the one remaining dry spot. That night, they didn't sleep. Her husband returned with a broken motorcycle mirror and a stunned expression. He said on the way home, he saw a neighbor's roof flying over his head like a massive tarp. He thought, could that be our house? The next morning, neighbors came to help. They patched the roof with plastic sheets, brought hot porridge, flashlights, and clean water. No one spoke much, just quiet nods and supportive glances. The storm had taken away their belongings, but it left something else behind. Human warmth. people of Shandong and Hebei could truly see the extent of the destruction the storm had left behind. It wasn't just rooftops torn away, trees broken, cars submerged, or farmlands wiped out. It was an entire chain of livelihoods, futures, and stability eroded to the very roots. In Ningyan County, where thousands of hectares of crops were the main source of income, it was estimated that nearly 70% of agricultural land had been completely destroyed. Fruit orchards not yet ready for harvest were uprooted. Greenhouses lay like giant whales belly up in the fields, soaked in murky water. Damage was estimated at over 300 million yuan, a number repeated in the media, but one that still couldn't capture the real losses inside each family. Many farmers like Mr. Zhang Weiguo had no agricultural insurance. The storm came so quickly, they had no time to shift crops or prepare. Everything they had saved from years of labor vanished in one afternoon. For urban residents like Li Xiaohua's family, it meant 2 days without power, lining up for clean water, and a roof covered only with thin plastic tarps that couldn't stop the cold night winds. Local authorities responded quickly, and that must be acknowledged. On the night of June 10th, hundreds of police officers, rescue teams, and volunteers were deployed to the hardest-hit areas. Relief tents went up in stadiums. Hot food and water were distributed. But this storm wasn't just a question of manpower. It was a full test of coordination and community strength. Some areas were completely cut off. Fallen trees blocked roads. Communication systems broke down. In some places, they used drones to locate people in need. Convoys had to wind through muddy dirt roads just to deliver a few boxes of noodles and bottles of water. And yet, when everything seemed at its worst, human kindness shined the brightest. The storm in Shandong and Hebei has passed. The skies are clear. Streets, once submerged, are slowly drying. But on the broken rooftops, in the eyes of people filled with fear, in the voices of children asking when they can go home, the pain is still there. It won't disappear with the water. We cannot control the weather, but we can control how we live. We have a choice. Keep ignoring, keep cutting forests, keep polluting, keep building without care, or start changing, starting today. Because natural disasters don't care where you're from. They don't care who you are, where you live, whether you are rich or poor. A storm can wipe out an entire city in one night, just like it did in Shandong. We need to change, and it starts with the smallest things. Save electricity, use less plastic, support environmental projects, share the message with your community, push your government to act, support science, respect nature, care for one another more deeply. And most importantly, remember this. Every action you take, no matter how small, creates impact. You may not be able to stop a storm, but you can help someone who lost their home. You may not be able to end climate change, but you can be one drop in an ocean of change. If you're watching this video, pause for just 1 minute. Think about those who lost everything. Think about our children, and ask yourself, what can I do before it's too late? Earth is speaking, and this time, we can't pretend we didn't hear.